and I'm here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting November the 21st, 2016. This week I'm going to be doing a tarot card reading, and the deck that's going to be assisting me for this week's reading is the Archangel Power Tarot Cards. They are by Doreen Virtue, Radleigh Valentine, Jeff Bedrick, and they are published by Hay House. The reason for the deck selection is because of the intense energies that we are all experiencing at this time. This deck is all about self-empowerment. So if you're in a space where you've been feeling like you're disempowered, this is an opportunity for messages to come through from the angels in this deck, because as I said, the theme of this deck is self-empowerment, and the angels take on the role as life coaches. And as a life coach myself, the role of a coach is to provide processes for empowering people to positively and holistically make life changes. So again, this is the Archangel Power Tarot Cards, and I have the deck out on the floor in front of me. One of my favorite places to read cards is on the floor. So I'm going to be taking the deck in hand, and I'm shuffling the cards. And as I shuffle the cards, the intention of my weekly general readings is that we ask the cards for information that is going to be helpful for us moving through the experiences of the upcoming week. So now I'm shuffling them my other way. Now I'm going to cut the cards. And another reason why I like to read the cards on the floor is because I get to fan them out. So I'm going to fan them out next. And then I'm going to pick the 3 cards that call out to me for the week. So the first card I'm picking represents the energies of what we might need to know or consider for the beginning of the week. Then scanning the fan again. The second card is going to represent what we might need to know or consider for the middle of the week. And then scanning one more time. The third card represents what we might need to know or consider for energies rounding out the week. So I have the 3 cards in front of me. So now that I have those cards, I'm going to take up the rest of the cards. So I have the 3 cards in front of me face down. We're going to be moving from left to right. So the card representing the beginning of the week is 9 of Michael. So I'll hold the card up. So the 9 of Michael comes up, and this is very interesting because I talked about the intense energies we've been experiencing and feeling a sense of disempowerment. The 9 of Michael is a card that can come up when there is a lot of stress and worry and anxiety about the future going forward. And it carries with it the energy of Archangel Michael. So Archangel Michael is advising us, if we're holding the space of fear and worry, we're being asked to consider, because the angels always operate or work with our free will choices. So we always have the choice of whether we're going to hold on to something or we're going to be willing to be in a space of letting it go. So Archangel Michael is encouraging us to consider the idea of releasing any fears or worries to the angels. But there is fear, there is stress, there is worry, and with the 9 of Michael in particular, it's imagined worries. It's about imagining what the future might hold. So there is a sense of like fear of the future, dread of the future, but this card is about, it's imagined. We have created some picture of what we think will happen. Sometimes with the 9 of Michael, 9 times out of 10, the energy is like we imagined the worst possible case scenario, and then in reality, that thing didn't happen the way we had imagined it was going to happen. So this card is like about like running on one's imagination, running on the worst possible case scenario, letting your imagination run wild and get the best of you. So I'm seeing that kind of energy with that. If you're holding on to space and worry, this is what I typically do when I invoke. An invocation is asking the angels to come into the experience with you So when I invoke Archangel Michael, I usually sit just like I'm sitting right now. So we'll do it right here. We'll work through it. So what I usually do is I sit like this, take a deep breath, let it out, and then I say these words. I go, Archangel Michael, I invite you to cut the cords to any fear and worry I have around this situation. And then you name whatever the situation is for you. And then I say, I am now willing to trade any pain for peace of mind. Thank you, Archangel Michael. And then I breathe in again, and I let it out. And then I just notice whatever thoughts, feelings, impressions come to me. And in this particular moment, I'm feeling my angels at my crown. And for those of you who watch my videos long enough to know, I always talk about I feel them in my head, or around my head, so I'm feeling them right there. And I also feel my Reiki energy, because I'm a Reiki practitioner, so I'm feeling Reiki flaring up, and my Reiki usually comes up from the ground up, so it's coming up like this, right through here, and I can feel it. It feels very warm right in here. And I just sit with that feeling. And just know that as I've asked Archangel Michael to cut the cords of the fear and worry, that I imagine the cords being cut, and that the fear and worry is in Archangel Michael's hands. And I'm just now in a peaceful state. And so it is. And then, if I feel the need to do that again, then I come back to it and just do it again. So I'm seeing that. So I'm offering that to you. Like, maybe that will be helpful to you if you want to try that. And when you're in a space and you're feeling fearful, you're feeling worried about something. Because also too, with Archangel Michael being the angel who provides us clarity about the next action step we can take going forward, because this message just came in. If we're holding into that space, if we're sitting in that space of fear and worry, that clarity, that next action step can't come in, because this is the suit about information, ideas, ideas being communicated, that kind of energy. But if we're in this space of fear and worry, that other energy can't come in. So it's about, you have to be willing to let that energy go, release it. So the energy that represents the solution to the problem, because Archangel Michael advises us or encourages us to be moving from being focused on the problem to becoming solution focused. So it's about creating the space though for that transaction, that change, that shift to happen. So I'm seeing that. So I'll read the text on the card. It says, your worry is unnecessary. Focus your thoughts on the outcome you desire. Release feelings of regret, guilt, and worry to your angels. So that's the energy of 9 of Michael. Moving to the middle of the week, we have Page of Raphael. So the Page of Raphael comes up when we are experiencing a new stage, because pages for me in Tarot represent a learning stage of development. So we're in this learning stage of either emotional development or spiritual development, because the suit of Raphael is about our emotional life, how we relate to people, our feelings, and also too about our spirituality. So I'm getting a sense of that. Now, of course, Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing. So it's very interesting that in my personal experience, when I just demonstrated the releasing of fear and worry as a demonstration, my Reiki energy came up. So, this is a time of healing. So there could be in the middle of the week we're experiencing healing. So now, since I mentioned Reiki, it could be that there may be someone who's moving in a new journey with healing or a healing modality, and so learning that, and so learning it from the standpoint of being a beginner, so it's a new experience. It could also be too, like the Page of Raphael is about sensitivity. So it could be like going with the idea of the fear and the worry. Those of us who are walking a spiritual path, who are learning more about our spirituality, getting more in touch with that, we may be realizing or becoming more aware of how sensitive we are. So the Page of Raphael could be, I call it the highly sensitive person card. So it could be we're being encouraged to just be mindful of what we need to do to kind of keep ourselves protected from harsh energies around us, whether they be in actual environment or particular people. And I'm seeing, because I didn't mention this before, but this being the week of Thanksgiving here in the United States where I am, we may be in the middle of the week as we're preparing for being around people during the holidays. You know, this is going to be an interesting holiday season to be in light of what's been going on in our political landscape and other areas around the world where we're having intense situations that are bringing up, you know, a great deal of emotional energy. So it's going to be very interesting to see what people are going to be talking about during their holiday celebrations this year. But this card is, if that's the case, of being mindful of who you're going to surround yourself with. Maybe too, going back to the Nine of Michael, what are their ideas? What are their opinions about things that are going on in the world? Are you going to be, you know, having to contend with people who have conflicting viewpoints than you, and how are you going to navigate through that? It's about getting yourself prepared, you know. And also too, if somebody is, you know, having a different viewpoint, a different idea, different opinion than you, it's about like, how can you not allow yourself to get overly sensitive about that? It's about how to manage that. The other thing with Page Raphael, it could be like, if we are in the space of fear and worry, going back to the Nine of Michael, and we do the exercises about releasing our fears and worries to our angels, and I talked about information coming in that could offer a solution to the challenge we're experiencing. Pages in tarot are the messengers. They represent the harbingers of news or messages or communications coming our way that could help us with the challenges that we're experiencing. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. I'm going to read the text on the card. It says, a new emotional situation. Messages regarding relationships or social invitations. Social invitations with the week of Thanksgiving. And then great intuitive insights. So that will be the Page of Raphael. And now, going to the card rounding out the week, we have Four of Ariel. So the Four of Ariel comes up when we are concerned. Going back to the first card, I love how the cards are reflective of what are reflective of each other, because they're bookends, and so sometimes they mirror each other. But when the Four of Ariel comes up, going with what the Nine of Michael could be about, fears and worry about the future, the Four of Ariel for me can be a card about retention. It's about wanting to preserve something, wanting to conserve something. And with that, Ariel is a suit of material resources. And one of those material resources that we have available to us is money. So for me, it's about like being in a space of conserving our money, conserving our wealth. You know, the fear and worry about like our financial futures for some people is a really big concern. You know, that kind of energy. The other thing about this card is about security and stability. So it could be like, you know, feeling in a place of being uncertain about our own either physical, because this card is about the physical world, physical resources, our physical well-being, our financial well-being, things of that nature. It's like everything is like moving into a space where we're no longer feeling a sense of stability and security. Now, I'm looking at the image, and here we have, and it could be because of the environment. So I'm looking at the image, and we have what looks to be a setting in Japan. And so for me, being here in the States, that represents imagery that's like of a foreign nature, or something that is, you know, different than where I'm at, in a different space than where I'm at. So it could be, maybe there could be some either international or foreign affairs or concerns that may be important, or it could be like the state of uncertainty, the state about the future, future in terms of security and stability, feels like it's foreign to us. You know, it's not our usual native kind of thing, so it feels foreign to us. So having to navigate through this sense of uncertainty that seems foreign and strange. So I'm seeing that. But for me, it's about like, what do we need to do? What work can we do? Because I'm being reminded that the 4 here is a number of hard work and paying attention to details. So this is about also laying a foundation. So it's about laying a foundation, a new foundation, for our physical well-being, for our financial well-being, that kind of energy. But also staying on top of things, paying attention to details, doing the work that kind of creates a space for that kind of stability and security. The 4 is also a number about, you know, restructuring, reframing, rebuilding. So it could be that kind of thing. So it could be like, if you're concerned about your physical well-being, if you're concerned about your financial security and well-being, this could be a time of like doing the work to kind of create a sense of organization. I'm getting the sense of like maybe reordering something or reorganizing something, so you have that sense of stability and security. Here's the thing about this, because they're telling me with this card. When we are projecting our sense of security and stability into the hands of others, because remember the theme of this particular deck is about self-empowerment, when we're projecting that and putting that into the hands of other people, that's where the uncertainty comes from, because we don't have any control over that anymore. And the 4 is connected to the Emperor, and the Emperor is about control. So we tend to think like, I don't have any control. So this idea is like, what can you do to take some of that control back? And so one of the ways we can do that is taking a look at what we have, and how, if there's any restructuring, any reorganization we can do, that kind of takes that energy back and puts it more in our hands. And we assume the power and the responsibility for what we have, and not necessarily be so concerned about what somebody else will or will not do with it. So I'm seeing that as a possibility. I'm reading the text. It says here, when you give, you also receive. Being resistant to change. So for some, because now I'm seeing the energy of a 4 can be symbolized as a box. So sometimes that can be limitation and restriction, and sometimes boxing ourselves in. And then extremes in how you save or spend money. And it's very interesting because at the end of the week, we move from Thanksgiving into the Christmas shopping season. So this could be coming up for a lot of people about what are we going to do with the resources we have at our disposal in terms of holiday gift shopping. So I'm going to end the reading on that note. So this brings this week's Oracle Outlook to a close. I'm James Himm Mitchell, and before I sign off, I would first like to thank you for sharing this space here with me this week, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video. So until then, I'm hoping that you have a wonderful day. I'm hoping that you have a tarot-tastic week filled with love, light, and many angel blessings. Take care.